What's up guys, it's me Mad Samurai 84 here for October's edition of PS Plus Plays. We've got 3 fresh games for the month of October, the month of scariness, Halloween, spookiness, and yeah, not sure how to quite put it this month. It's a very confusing month. Let's put it that way. I always think October you should get like quite a few spooky games, scary games, this and that, blah 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 blah. But anyway, I've played through the games for quite a bit, whether it's like an hour to 4-5 hours, depending on the game, and it's basically just my final thoughts, my initial thoughts of like what I found, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and just a couple of rants and raves, and then I'll give my thumb scores, a thumb score whether I think it's a good game, and a thumb score whether I think it's a good offering. And then once I've talked about all three, then I'll give a final overall score for the month and see how it kind of has fared, and is it a good month for being a PS Plus subscriber. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's meh, sometimes it's ugh. But hey ho, you never know what's going to happen. Anyway, let's jump into the first game and talk about that. Now, our first game for October is Farming Simulator 2022. This was released in November 2021, so it's roughly about 2 years old. Firstly, I have to say, 2020 wasn't just a bad year because of the pandemic. It was also a bad year because we received Farming Simulator 19 in our PS Plus games lineup in May of that year. It was terrible, and it left a massive sour note to make it a really bad year. It wasn't just wasn't good. Now we are here nearly 3.5 years later, and that crap lightning has struck yet again. Why? Who in their right mind at PlayStation thought it would be a good idea to put Farm Sim 22 into PS Plus again? This instantly makes it a bad year for PS Plus. If we get this, it's like you're scraping the barrel of just ugh. You're probably thinking it can't be that bad. Yes, it is. I understand there are some strange people who actually buy this and enjoy it, and I'm happy for you, but we normal people don't like this. I've tried to play it, but it just doesn't. The game doesn't make it easy. The controls work, but feel clunky, confusing. Where you need to have to there's always like a prompt screen. Well, you can change it, but you can have a just prompt screen so you know what you're doing. Otherwise, you don't know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm like, oh, this is confusing. There's quite a bit of pop up in the distance. You'll see just a lot of things just kind of popping up around you. The driving of non-farm vehicles suck. They are like tanks. The farm vehicles, yeah, you expect to be like a tank because they're this massive thing. But when you get in a truck, you're like, oh god, this is just. I'd rather just walk everywhere. And oh god, and the hilarious thing is when you crash into another vehicle, it's just bad. Really, you just kind of bounce off them. Really, there's nothing else. It's just ugh. But my main problem with this game is there's no direction of what I do or how I do it. Really, there's all little guide prompts, but it's not like, hey, you should do this, boom, 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 and it tells you where to go. I'm like, no, there is none of that. Yes, there is a bunch of help info in the pause menu, but it's just not the same as having an efficient in-game guide of showing you how this is how you do it. It's unless you've played it and you've played past games, you kind of know what you're doing. It's just a boring terrible experience, really. You know, and once you find the tab in one of the menus to take on some tasks, really, you have to try use the outdated map to like figure out how to get there, like, you know, get where you need to go, really, because you can't even like set a course and have like a have directions, really. Like, there's no there's no path that to tell you. You just got to look and go, all right, I've got to go left here, or I've got to go right here, or yeah, I've got one direction. It's just like, really, you got all these things you can, like, all right, can't I highlight this, select this? I'm like, all right, sets it in my map and in my navigation, like, all right, turn left here, and da 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 da. And then you figure out that, you know, when you can't set the waypoint, and you have to constantly pause, you know, seeing where you're going, and then you get to the place for your task, and you realise that you need tools, but you're not sure what you need or even what you do. It's like everything's like hidden and buried and not really properly kind of shown you, like, all right, this is what you need, go buy this. Or it doesn't say, oh, you know, given like you are kind of like objects are seen, so all right, you know, you go here, you take this one, set this as your main like task. All right, you need this, you need that, you need this. Boom, 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 boom. It's just none of that. It's just like it just makes it really unfun for someone who has no idea or what they're doing in this game, or anyone, to be honest. It's just like, ugh. You know, the nice thing is, you know, it has 3 different maps for you to play. Really, you know, there's like over 100 different vehicles, tons of branded clothes, and there's a multiplayer as well. You know, I did a bit of that. You know, you can join in a map, and if you're like my experience, you'll have the same problem with the single player, really, and have no direction. Wonder, you know, how you get your own vehicle. Like, I'd say, I haven't got a clue, really. You know, whilst all the annoying thing of the game constantly pausing, if people are constantly leaving and joining the game, it has to like sync the player data, so it's just like, oh god, it kept them like stopping and pausing, you know. But you can play a game of hay bale stacking online, really, but you know, when I went to do it, no one wanted to play, really. I had a couple of games, no one wanted to play it, really. I don't know if it was the time of day I was playing it, I'm not too sure. But that game is more, that kind of mini game is more frustrating than fun. I guess, yeah, I just couldn't get anyone to join me, so I was just playing by myself, and it just got so boring. Also, you know, one of my thoughts, I've been thinking for a little while, why are there so many like simulator games? There's like so many out there, like bus simulator, train simulator, fire, you know, simulator, this firefighter simulator, this simulator, this Autobahn police, the Autobahn police. You know, some of this stuff I'm actually really interested in, like jumping in and just seeing what it's all about. Really, it's very peculiar. But anyway, Farming Sim 2022. God, I've tried. 19 was just 2020 was a bad year getting that, and this is just not good. When you look at its Metacritic, it hasn't got a PS4 score, but it has got a PS5 score of 75. I don't get it. I don't know how. Why has it been given that score? Yeah, it probably is some sort of enjoyment, but come on, guys, come on. User scores, PS4, there's none. PS5, even the PS5 like user score surprises me. 5.9. I just don't get it. So, you know, yeah. But thumb scores, this is going to be quite easy for these thumb scores of what I'm going to give it. My game score, I'm going to give it a thumbs down. But it's not just any normal thumbs down. It's the stinky poo finger thumbs down. That's what I say. Is that it's not a good game. My offering score for Farm Sim 22, it's going to be another thumbs down. But it's also going to be another stinky poo finger thumbs down. because it's not good. So it's a double stinky poo finger thumb down. Not good. I can't remember the last time I gave a game a double stinky poo finger thumbs down on it all. I would have to do some serious research and look into it because I don't think I'll be able to easily find it. But I have in the past, maybe, or maybe I haven't given a double stinky poo finger. Did I even give Farming Sim a double stinky poo thumb down? I'm not even sure. Maybe. That's the only thing I could think of. Maybe I did, or maybe I didn't think of it then of giving it. But I'm giving Farming Sim 22 a double stinky poo thumb finger down because it's not a good game. It's not a good offering. Terrible way to start the month. Terrible way. Now to kind of just wash away that dreaded stench of Farming Sim. Our second title is Weird West Definitive Edition. This originally came out, which wasn't the definitive edition, came out on the PS4 in March 2022, so only last year. And the PS5 version, which was the definitive edition, came out in May 2023 of this year. So it's like, oh, okay, we've got, the game came out only a bit of a year ago. The PS5 version only came out, 5 months ago. So it's like, oh, okay, not bad, not bad. This title caught me by surprise. I've never heard of it before. It's a top-down like action RPG, and it is quite fun. Really, I'm not gonna lie. It's actually quite enjoyable. Graphically, it's nothing special, especially since it's like cross-gen. But it does look nice. It does look great in some areas. The controls for this takes a little to get used to, but you will get there, and it kind of plays rather well, and you kind of just like get used to it, and it's like, all right, yeah, this does this, this does this. It's just a little kind of like little things you just got to get used to. The gameplay is fun and can be quite tough, so be prepared to die a few times. But you just load up your previous save, and you got auto saves and manual saves and stuff like that. And I love the fancy like western setting. It's great, and it has some really nice level design to it, really, like with because you kind of go there like different levels you go into. It's not really like open world, but it's just like this set area, and it might have like an underground passage and stuff which you can go to. The only thing that is probably slightly annoying is the walking sequence between the stages. Feels like it can take forever, and it kind of feels like just an overly long loading screen, to be honest. And then you're met with another loading screen when you get to that stage. But in between each stage you're walking, you can get into like a random battle or something like that, which you have to shoot dudes with and stuff. Yeah, that's the only thing that's really I've kind of really annoying. Other than that, I haven't really found anything else I can never really say about the game, really, because it's actually kind of like all around decent. This is the type of game, isn't for everyone, but it is a game that everyone can enjoy, I think. Its story is intriguing, where you go searching for your kidnapped husband, and you come across this occult group who needs the flesh of people. So it goes a bit dark in places, and it's got a kind of a bit of a whole supernatural fantasy thing about it, which is quite cool. Definitely will be playing through the game, and I have even looked into prices of a physical version, so I have my eyes on it. But yeah, so far it's been pretty good. Been enjoying it, and yeah, it's been a nice surprise, really. And this is probably the game I've probably actually have sat down quite a bit and played, because I've actually you just kind of get into it a bit, really. It kind of has that old. It does look like a bit like that old PC type style, really, like the old Fallout looking games and stuff. Even though I've never played them, I've just seen like videos of them. It looks a bit like that whole top down walking around the area and all that stuff. But it's very enjoyable. I'm liking it. nice little addition. And when we look at its Metacritic, the PS4 sits at a 73, which is not the definitive edition, it's just the original release. There is no PS5 Metacritic, because basically all the reviews happened when it was originally released on the PS4. So on the user scores, it's on the PS4 it sits at 6.8, and there is no user score for the PS5. So it's kind of scored like half decently. I think it's scored not too bad, really, not too bad. And if we did my thumb scores for this game, what would I go with? Well, my game score, well, this one actually took me a good surprise, and I have a score here, and I've kind of like looking at it, and after like thinking about it, I'm like, oh, you know what, it's actually better than that. Like, you know, it's on probably the low end of it, because I'm just probably being a bit more giving it a bit more kudos than I probably should, because I think it's probably more like I'm putting it up against Farming Sim, so it seems probably the greatest game in the world. But it plays nice, it controls well, so I'm going to give the game score of a 3/4 thumb up, because it's there. It's like that good, like 7.5 type game type. It's that kind of flicks in between there, you know. I was going to give it a thumb in the middle, but I decided it's a bit better than that, really. It's because it's cool, rather enjoyable, and if it's something that I feel like I'm actually going to play, I'm like, all right, you know what, I'm actually going to play through this, then it's probably a bit better. So I'm going to stick with 3/4 thumb up for my game score. An offering score, well, we got a PS4 version and a PS5 version, which is always nice. And it's something I just kind of, I've never heard of. And, you know, original release about, what, a year and a half ago, 18 months ago, 19 months ago. PS5 version only released 5 months ago, so I think it's a pretty good offering. So I'm going to give it another 3/4 of a thumb up, really, for my offering score, because, you know, we've got a game which is rather decent, and while also not being that old of a game. So I think we've come off pretty well here for this month by getting this. Well, it's making up for terribleness. That's what it is. That's what it's doing. But anyway, that's our second game for the month done. And our last title for October's PS Plus plays is the Callisto Protocol. Now, this only came out in December 2022, so not even a year ago. 10 months ago it came out. It did, not even a year ago, not 11, 10. 10 months ago it came out, so it's like, oh, okay, that's either a great thing or a bad thing, really. But for me, it's happened again. Just in 2023 alone, out of the 10 months of PS Plus, I have probably 6 months where I had the title on the list. I had a title on the list. At least one title on the list. There was 6 months. And 5 months of those were games I had purchased within the last 2 to 3 months of, you know, purchasing physical, because I'm very much a physical buyer and stuff, and I support physical. I don't mind digital, but I'm only gonna, if I'm gonna buy digital, it's when it's like really cheap and stuff. So I'm more of a physical buyer. There are 8 games in total that I only had played, that I had. Really, I had physical copies that I had bought. I have all the games we got this year. I had only played 3 of them before they came to service. Luckily, Callisto Protocol is one of those games that I had played literally. I played and finished it in July. Really, I got it off Amazon for like a super good price. I think it was roughly, it was under 200 Swedish krona because I live in Sweden. It's like 190. So what was it? It was like running about like 100. It was like 13 UK pounds. What's that? $16 or whatever it was. US dollars. I think it's something like that. So I got it for a really good price. I thought, you know what, I'm going to get that. Boom. And I was like, and I was kind of, it was round about my birthday time. And I had just kind of got like Final Fantasy, and I was like, oh, you know what, I'm going to finish this game because it's short. I'm going to play through it, and once I finish that, then I'm going to start Final Fantasy. So but I've done fun. Then I jumped into Final Fantasy, and I've platinum them now. So I'm like, all right, I've done you, I've loved you, I thought you were great, excellent. But yeah, it's just been a bit of one of those months, really, one of those years. Now, with Callisto Protocol, it did not have a good start to life. It was on a massive hype train for some reason. I think it's probably because it had some like one of the original producers of Dead Space on there, and everyone was basically kind of comparing it, and it was actually before everyone knew about the Dead Space remake that was coming in the new year. It came out with a ton of bugs and a bunch of wino saying that that PlayStation had made the devs make other platforms bad because they so happened to use their state-of-the-art motion capture studio. No, it wasn't the case. It was just bad development. It was just bad development, and you would find a lot of people, and they did it back in the previous generation where the PS4 would work better because people would work more on the PS4 one because that was like the main one, and they're kind of doing it now with the PS5. And when you go generation 4, people were doing that with the 360. The 360 one was always better. Well, the 360 was easier to develop. It's just one of those things, really. But anyway, now I never played this when it first came out because I thought it looked like a poor man's Dead Space, and I thought that since I first saw it. And you know what? It really is a poor man's Dead Space. It really is a poor man's Dead Space, but it's still okay, really. I've had the odd crash here and there, but I got through the game. I got through it. But I was like following a guy because I was getting all the collectibles and stuff, and what they've done is through like the patches, they've moved some of the collectibles in like to slightly different places, so it's made it confusing. So if you are following a guy, try find like a newer one which has like the newer locations of where they put it, because my one was a bit of older, so it was a bit outdated. So it was like, oh, where's this? And I missed one on my first playthrough because I was trying to go for that. I'm trying to go for that platinum. Really, I did the one and I missed one down collectible. But if you've ever played the original Dead Space and then play this, you'll find that they have really tried to mimic that game, down to the aiming, for the shooting, to the ground stomp. They do have a nice addition in the arsenal of equipment. With your telekinetic glove, but other than that, it still feels slightly sluggish and slow. It's really slow when you're in like melee combat, and the awkward dodge movements and slow attacks. It gets a bit like you kind of just want to pull out your gun constantly and shoot everyone, but you only have limited ammo, so you have to use melee, which is slightly annoying. But sometimes it is quite satisfying when you get like a nice finisher, I must say. But where this truly shines is in the graphics department, and they got a really pretty interesting cast. They got Josh Duhamel, you might know him from Transformers. They got Sam Witwer, who's Starkiller in the Force Unleashed, is that guy. And they got I was looking, I was like, I recognise that lady. Why do I recognise her? Her name's Karen Fukuhara, and she's Kimiko from The Boys. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I see it now. But they've got a really they've done very well with the graphics. It does look good, really, and it does help with that motion capture thing, really, so they can really capture everything on the actors' faces. It's really, really, really nice. its level design is also nice in most parts, and it does kind of send you chills in some spots, because it is supposed to be a survival horror game. So when you play through it, you're like, oh god, yeah, this is kind of like done quite good, making the, with the atmosphere and all that stuff. But then in other points, you kind of feels a bit soulless in a way. It doesn't feel like it's got much pizzazz, really, and feels kind of boring. But in the end, this game, it really fails to deliver the same intensity that you got when playing the original Dead Space, really. And I haven't played the remake. I do want to play the remake. I will get a copy of it at some point. I will get there. But it does fail to deliver. But, it is rather of a short game, but it's still quite fun to kind of play through for a bit, really, because it is short. So I think that's where its saving grace is, that it's short. Really, if it was longer, it would be more like, oh god, I can't do this. But because it's not that long, it's probably about, I don't know, about a 10-hour game or so ish. So it is actually kind of actually a good length for it, because if it was longer, because of it would have been a bit of a nightmare. But by starting this for this video, I kind of just started my second playthrough because on hard difficulty, because that's what I have to do to get the platinum. Really, so I will play through to get the platinum, as long as it doesn't get like too silly of trying to kind of complete it. I couldn't do it if it got too like hard and difficult. So I was like, just keep it simple. Now, when we look at the game's Metacritic, well, here we go. PS4, there's no Metacritic score for it. PS5, it sits at 69, and to be honest, that's a very fair score. Now we look at the user scores. PS4, no user score, and basically the PS5 user score basically mimics the critic score, so 6.9. So it is that cusp of a 6 and a 7 out of 10. Really, it really is. You can't really complain, really. I'm not going to say, oh, they got that wrong, or it's like, oh god, they've got that right, or because they have got it right. It is like at 6, 7 out of 10. Really, it is that cross between. Now, thumb scores. What would I go with? A game score. I'm going to give it a straight thumb in the middle, because it is decent. It is good. You should play through it. It is fun-ish, but it's not great. It has issues, but it's saving grace that it is a short game, really. Because if it was any longer, so yeah, it's only worth that. Couldn't give it any more, really. Now, my offering score, what would I give it? We've literally. This was like that kind of like whole supposed to be that AAA game. I'm changing my mind of what I'm giving it. I've decided to change my mind. I was originally going to give it a full thumb up, but because you know what? No, screw it. It's under a year old. It is a kind of biggish game, but it does go for quite cheap. Like physically now, you can get it quite cheap now, I've seen, but I think it's like a slightly nice addition to Halloween, really. And I'm going to go give this a full thumb up, really, for its offering score. It's 10 months old. Yes, it might have had issues, but they've kind of cleared it up, and it is an enjoyable, fun game. Yes, it's not perfect, it's not excellent, but it is solid, and you will have fun with it. It's a good 10-hour campaign, a bit longer if you want to do the platinum. So I really can't complain with it. Alright, now we've played through all the games, it's time to do an overall look at the month. Now, we started off the month really badly with Farming Sim 22. I can't say anything good about it, really. I gave that a stinky poo finger down for its game score, and another stinky poo finger down for its offering score. So it was a terrible start to the month. But then after that, it slightly started to get better with the Weird West Definitive Edition, which I did actually quite enjoy. A nice kind of top-down ARPG in a kind of fantasy Western setting. So it was quite enjoyable, definitely worth a play. I gave that a game score of a 3/4 of a thumb up and an offering score of another 3/4 of a thumb up. And then to cap off of the month, we had the very much overhyped the Callisto Protocol that only got released in December last year. It's half decent, but it's not excellent. Let's put it this way, worth a playthrough. It was enjoyable. It's only 10 months old. I gave that a game score of a thumb in the middle and an offering score of a full thumb up. So, you know, I only gave it because it's a pretty new game, even though I had literally just got it only a couple of months back. Luckily, I had played through it, so I didn't feel too bad about myself. It's still annoying, but if we look at overall for the month, it's a bad month that got slightly saved into a very mid-month, really. So, as an overall game score, I would give a thumb in the middle, but I'm going to keep the stinky poo thumb finger on because of Farming Sim 22. It can only be given with that because why? It's not good. It's not good. And an overall offering score, yeah. It's going to be another mid-month, really, because it's because of Farming Sim. Really, it's just like it really drags everything down. So I'm going to give another thumb in the middle, and another stinky poo thumb in the middle. That's what it's going to be. Usually I don't put that until it's down, but it has to that poo's staying on the thumb because of Farming Sim. Really, so you got two thumbs in the middle with some stinky poo on them. Yucky. Yeah, not great, but it was slightly salvaged thanks to the other two games. Really, it could have been a lot worse, but it's not good. It's not good for PS Plus, and it's not good when they're giving us something like Farming Sim. It's definitely not something good for them to be giving that to us. Anyway, that's it for October. We've done it. We've played through it. Fingers crossed, November, it'll make up for it in November, because it's been a mid-year so far. Very disappointing. Anyway, let me know in the comments what games you liked. Did you actually like? Are you one of those Farming Sim 22 people who actually enjoy it and actually find a lot of fun playing it and actually know what you're doing? But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please like and subscribe to the channel. That'd be great. I am always still trying to pull my finger out my butt to sort out the editing of these other videos I've been wanting to do, but just haven't got around to it. But anyway, until next time, guys, take care and look after yourselves. Goodbye.